Okay, so we are doing lesson 24, and so the way that they want you to do this, they always do the backward multiplication to check, but you don't have to do that. You can just do regular multiplication to check, because that can be very confusing. But what we're doing here with with problem number 3 is that we're just checking to kind of get an idea of where to start, because we want to see how many times 19 can go into 38. But if we have an idea and kind of have like a little bit of a starting point, it makes it easier for us instead of having to do 19 times 1, 19 times 2, 19 times 3 until we finally hit one. Okay, so if you estimate, that's what they're trying to teach you, is you just estimate that you can get somewhere near to have a starting point. So we have 19, okay, and we're going to go ahead and estimate that. And over here, I can actually just do it on the page. So over here, we'll just have, so 19, and if we're going to go ahead and round that, it's going to go to 20. So we add our 20 there, okay? Then the 3,800, we're going to round that up to 4,000, okay? And then that makes it a lot easier for us to kind of check out how many times we think it'll go in. So 20 is going to go into 40, which really means you have 40 items and you're splitting it up into groups of 20, you'll only have 2 groups. So that's 2. 2 times 20, that's how we check here. 2 times 20 is 40, okay? And then we subtract, and that gives us, let me make this a little bit bigger if I could. Let me see. Okay, that doesn't look like I can. Okay, so perfect. So then we'll go ahead and we'll subtract. It gives us 0. Then we have all these zeros that if we bring them down, they do nothing for us. Okay, we still can't get 20 into there, so we just bring them up. We don't have to bring them down. Okay, so now when we look at our estimation, looks like 20 can go into 4,200 times, but individually 20 can go into 40 twice. So we'll check that out and we'll see if 19 can go into 38 twice. Okay, and then that's when we do our side multiplication, and we can just do it right here. So I'll do 19, okay, times 2, just kind of looking at this right here, how 20 went into 40 twice. So we're going to try to see if 19 can go into 38 twice. So we do this, 19 2 times, and that gives us 18, okay, and we carry the 1, then we do 2 times 1 is 2, and plus 1 is 38. Perfect. So it goes in exactly twice. So 2 times 19, which we did here, is 38. So we subtract 38. We get 0. And again, if we bring these down, they do nothing for us. So we just go ahead and put them up here. And that was perfect. It actually worked exactly how it was supposed to. So, did it on the wrong spot. So I think it was supposed to go here. But you get the gist of it, okay? And then that's 0, that's it. Okay, so problems 3 and 4 are done. Let's go on to the next one, okay? This is the same thing, so I'm going to do one more of these, okay? So again, we are estimating to just kind of get a starting point, okay? It's not going to be perfect. The last one we did worked perfectly. They don't always work that way, but it gives us a starting point, which is what we're looking for. So 55, we're going to round that up to 60, okay? Then we're going to come here, and this will be rounded up to 7,000. And then we kind of try to figure out, okay, how many times does 60 go into 70? And that is once, okay? And then if we do 1 times 60, that is 60, subtract, and we get 10. And we can bring down a 0. Then we can see how many times does 60 go into 100. That's also 1 time. Okay. So it's pretty much, we're going to go ahead and not do this part. We'll just put, it's about 100. Okay. It's about 100 times, because 100 times 60 is about 6,000. Okay, so even though it's not very specific, it's close enough. Okay, so we'll just do 60 goes into 70 1 time, bring up our zeros, and it's about 100. approximately 100. Okay, so now that we have a starting point, we can go ahead and try that over here with the 55. See how many times it can go into 69. And we can tell automatically that, yeah, it's going to be one time, okay? Because 55, if we do 55 plus 55, we know that 50 plus 50 is 100, and 5 plus 5 is 10, so it's going to be 110. So we'll just do it here, just in case. So if it's one time, then that's 55, and if it's twice, then it becomes too much. Okay, 10, 11, 110. Okay, so that's a no. Okay, so we just go ahead, and we know they gave us a nice starting point, so we can go ahead and do that. We can start working with our nice little starting point. 55, okay. This is going to be 4, this is going to be 1, and then we bring down the 2, okay. Now, 55 can go into 42, probably no more than twice, okay? Because if we look at this, this is 110. If we were to add, okay, another 55, which would make it 3 times, okay, because this is already 2 groups of 55 give us this 110. This would be a third group of 55. So it would be 5, 6, 1. That would be way too much to fit in 142. So we know it's going to be 55 times 2. So we do 2 times 55 gives us 110. So we subtract that. Bring down our 2 minus 0 is 2, 4 minus 1 is 3, and that just cancels itself out. And now we have one last digit to bring down, which is this 0. Okay, bring that in there. And now we know that for sure we can fit a lot more of these 55s in there. So we know that this one is 55 times 2. We know that this is 55 times 3. Okay, and then so right now, just looking at this one, it looks like we might be able to put 55, if this is 3 times, 165 plus 165 will give us more than 320. So we're going to go ahead and try with 5. So let's try 165 times 5. Okay, let's see what that gives us. Not 165, 55 times 15, sorry. So remember, we're trying to find multiples of 55. Okay, so that's why over here we're trying to do, if we do 5 times 55, will that give us a close enough number to 320 where it doesn't go over 320? So let's try it. Okay, this is 5 times 5 is 25. 5 times 5 is 25 plus 2 is 27. Okay, so that's 275. Let's try and see if we can add one more 55 in there, and that would be 55 times 6. Okay, so let's see if that would work. Okay, so we would do 10, this is 12, 13, and this is 3. So that is too much. So this is not going to work. Has to be the 5. Okay, because it went over the 320. Okay, we're trying to get it close, but not to go over, because we don't have, it's like, think about it, it's like having a bunch of different Skittles, and you're trying to share them between your friends. You're like, okay, you guys each get 55. Well, I'm gonna make 55 groups of Skittles, and this is how many I have. So we need to kind of figure out, okay, how many can we make, in how many groups can we make from this amount that we have, and what's going to be left over. So if you go over, you don't have 330 Skittles, so you can't do that. Okay, you can only do as many as these, so it has to be this number or smaller. So that's why this doesn't work, and then this one does work. So we'll do 55 times 5. Okay, we'll put that here, and then that's going to be 5 times 55 is 275. And then we can subtract, and that's going to be 1 right here, 5. This is 2, and we bring this over, it's 11. 11 minus 7 is 4. And then our remainder is 45. And the way they want us to put the remainder is to put it over 45 over the divisor, which is 55. Okay, so that is our answer. So it's 125. Okay, we can put it here, 125 and 45 over 55. And then box in that number so your teacher knows that that is your final answer, okay? Because we have all this work everywhere, and the teacher needs to know, what is your final answer? What did you get? Because all the work is great, because that way teachers can know where you went wrong if you got something wrong. But if you don't box in your answer, we don't know, okay, what was the ending point for you? Where did you finish off? Okay, so make sure you always do that. Let me see. This is kind of glaring on my sheet. Let me make sure. Okay, that's perfect. Make it a little bit less bright even. There we go. That's good. Okay. Okay, so this one says it's just a word problem, you guys. Don't let it scare you. It's the same thing. So we say Mr. Rich has $6,929 in his wallet. He earns $41 an hour. How long did it take him? Okay, how many hours did he work to get all of that money? So it's just division. So we're going to go ahead and do $41 over here, and we're going to do 6,929 in there. Okay, and then over here we know we can fit 141 because 40 times 2 would give us 80, so that would be too much. Okay, so 41 times 2 would be 2 and would be 82, so that's way too much. Okay, so we can only put in there one time. So we do 1 minus 41, and that gives us 8. 6 minus 4 equals 2. And then we bring down our next number. Okay, so now, okay, we know that that is at least 2 of them. Okay, so we'll go ahead and do, in 100, we can put in 2 of the 41s. Okay, in 200, we could probably put in 4. And then in this 82, we could put in 2 more. So that's 6 so far. So let's try 41 times 6 and see how that goes for us. So this is 6 times 1 is 6, and 6 times 4 is 24. Okay, so this gives us 246. And we know that if we add another 40, it's already going to be too much, because it's going to be 286 plus the 288. So let's add it just so you see what I'm just talking about. If we add one more 41, this is a 7, this is an 8, and this is a 2. And that's way too much. It's more than this number, so it doesn't work. So we have to stick with our 6. Okay, so bring the 6 here. 6 times 41, 41 times 6 is 246. 246, and we subtract that, and we get, lift this up a little bit, we borrow from this one, so this is a 7, and then this is a 12, this becomes 12 minus 6 is 6, 7 minus 4 is 3, we have 36 left over, so we bring down the last number, which is the 9, okay? Okay, so we know that 41, okay, because this 41 times 6 up here, and then we added another 41, so that means 6, 7. So 41 times 7 is this, this number right here, okay? And now we have this number right here. So we can do, we can try 41 times, let me see, this one looks like it could probably fit 2 more, I'm not sure, let's see, 41 times 9. We'll try that one first and see if it works. So we'll do 9 times 1 is 9, and we do 9 times 1 is 9, and 9 times 4 is 36. Perfect. It fits in exactly enough to fill this out with no remainder. So we know that 9 times 41 is exactly 369. So we go ahead and move our 9 over. 9 times 41 is 369. Subtract 0. Oh, that was a perfect one. Okay, so when you finish doing this, okay, you need to go ahead and if you're going to use this, I kind of just used up the whole spot, but it would be better if you kind of broke it in half because this doesn't give you a lot of space to work in. So I would cut it in half before I even started working and just make a line down the middle, okay? And then you could put number 7 here and you could put number 8 here, and then that way when you're all done, you could put your final answer, 169. Box it in, okay? And then for 8, you'll do the same thing here, okay? It's the same thing, it's just 1,875 divided by 15 because it says a store owner gets $15 profit for each new coat he sells. How many coats must he sell to make $1,875? Okay, so you just have to divide, okay? And then over here, you work on that one and you box in your answer, okay? So just when you see questions like this and you're like, I have no space here, and I have so much space here, you can just cut this big space in half and just designate this area for problem 7, this one for problem 8, but make sure that you label which one is which, okay? Put your 7 here and circle it, and put your 8 there and circle it. And then always box in your number, your answer, so everybody knows, you know, after all this work, the teacher doesn't have to search the whole page just to find your answer. It's right there, okay? Okay, let's see. This is similar. It's the same thing with the estimation, okay? Just to give you a starting point. And then over here you actually do the problem. And remember, when you go ahead and you do the multiplication to check, whatever answer you get here, you multiply by 91. You don't have to do the upside down multiplication, okay? So just do it correct, the right way. And in Math UC, they don't really come back to that upside down multiplication, so I don't know why they do that, but it's not really important and you're not going to need it later, okay? This is very similar to what we just did, so we'll go ahead and move on and see if there's anything new in any of these lessons that we need to go over, okay? Yes. Pretty much the same thing. Okay, here's a check. And this is the same thing. It's just telling you to check. And when you check, you multiply. You just multiply this number times that number. So we'll do one of these, okay? 25 goes into 55. I know that that's about twice because I know that 25 times 2 equals, this is 10. This is 4 plus 1 is 5 equals 50. So I know that, because I know that a quarter is 25 cents and I know that 2 quarters is 50 cents. So I'll do 2 times 25 is 50, and then we'll subtract and bring down that 5, okay? 5 minus 0 is 5, these just cancel. And then we'll go ahead and bring down our other 5, and it's going to be the same thing because this was 55 and it went in twice. This is 55 again, so it's going to go in twice. 2 times 25 is 50. Subtract. 5 minus 0 is 5. These two cancel. Okay, last number. Bring down this 3. And it's the same thing, okay? We've been doing 50. 2 times 25 is 50. With 53, it can only be 2 because if we add another 50, it's going to be too much. So 2 times 25 is also 50 again. And then we subtract and we get 3. So now our answer is 222. Okay, and then it's 3 over 25. Okay, and now in order to check our work, we come over here, we check our work, okay, and we do this, 222 times 25. Okay, and we'll go ahead and do 5 times 2 is 10. 5 times 2 is 10 plus 1 is 11. And 10 plus 1, 11 again. Okay? Then we'll put our 0 to hold our place. 2 times 2 is 4. 2 times 2 is 4. And 2 times 2 is 4. We'll add all that in. We have 0. We have 5, 5, 5. And then, it doesn't match up. But do not fret. We have to add our 3 that was left over. See that 3 right there? We have to add that guy back in. Plus 3, and it's 3, 5, 5, 5. So 5,553. Is that what we started with? Yes, it is. So that checks out. This checks out. And then over here, you see how you have all this extra space? You can go ahead and put that 2,223 over 25 and box it in. Okay? That way you know, okay, my answer's boxed in. It's good to go. You see all my work, but my answer's boxed in. Okay? So that's how you do these kinds. Okay? The check is just, now you have to multiply this to make sure you go back to your beginning question. Okay, beginning number. Okay. Remember with the upside down multiplication, okay, you don't have to do it this way, but you can, just because it's put all weird like that for you, that doesn't mean that you skip it. You just go like this. You rewrite it. 3152, okay? Cross that one out so you don't get confused. 324, okay? And then you multiply. You do 4 times 2 is 8. 4 times 5 is 20. 4 times 1 is 4, plus 2 is 6. 4 times 3 is 12. Okay, and then you come here, put your 0 placeholder, and then you do 2 times 2 is 4, 2 times 5 is 10. Oh, let's cross that one so we know we already did that. Bring over the 1. 2 times 1 is 2, plus 1 is 3. 2 times 3 is 6. Perfect. So we did that one, and now we're here. Okay, so 1, 2, bam. 3 times 2 is 6. 3 times 5 is 15. That's already there, but we'll put the next one. 3 times 1 is 3, plus 1 is 4, and 3 times 3 is 9. And then we can add it, okay? 8, 4, 12, 11, 12, and 10. Okay? And that should be your answer. Miss Heidi, just to make sure that is the correct answer, I'm going to go ahead and check my work with my handy dandy calculator, and you can do that too, okay? If you're not sure, then just check your work. And you can do that using a calculator, but only to check your work. You need to be able to do this. Okay, and I checked my work with my phone, and look, isn't that beautiful? It all checks out to the same. And that's what I love. I love when you do the problem and everything checks out. But sometimes if it doesn't check out, that's okay too, you guys. Just go back and see what you did wrong, because sometimes it's just a mistake, but you have to make sure that you're actually understanding how to do the process. So if you make a mistake with the process, then you need to correct that so that you remember next time. But sometimes if you already know the process and it's just a mistake, that's okay too, okay? Okay. Now over here we have some review. Number 12. David's room is a rectangle that measures 12 feet by 14 feet, okay? And that's when I like to draw. Okay, so I can get kind of an idea, 12 and 14. What is the area of his room? And it also reminds us, because remember multiplication, when we had this and it said what is the area, we knew the area equaled multiplying. Okay, so we just go ahead and do our multiplication. We can come over here, 14 times 12 is, and then we can start working on it. Okay, 14 times 12, we do 2 times 4 is 8, 2 times 1 is 2, put our 0 for a space holder because we're done multiplying our ones place. Now we're going to the tens place. So 1 times 4 is 4, and 1 times 1 is 1. And then we just add it all up. Okay, and then we come over here, okay, and it says, what were we using? We were using feet, okay, so we want to make sure we put that, what measurement we're using. So we put 168 feet, and go ahead and just box that in, okay, that way you know, okay, that's the one. So if your teacher is looking for the answer, bam, that's it, okay. Okay, this is average, number 13. So let's do that one. Okay, it says Kate was trying to grow prize-winning tomatoes. She weighed the tomatoes from one plant and got the following weights: 16 ounces, 14 ounces, 7 ounces, 20 ounces, and 8 ounces. What is the average weight of the tomatoes? Was the average weight more or less than a pound? Okay, so what we're going to do here to find the average, you always add up everything you have, and then you divide by how many of all the things you have. So this is what I'm saying. So for example, we have to find out how many ounces altogether, okay? And then we know that she had different weights. She had 16 ounces, that's one weight. This is a second one, third, fourth, and fifth. So our two numbers that we have, our two things that we need to know is we know that there's 5 different weights, 5 weights, okay? And then we know that we have to add all of these to figure out how many weights total, okay? So we'll go ahead and do that here. We'll do 16, 14, 7, 20, and 8, okay? We'll just add those all up. Okay, so these are 10. I like to add mine in pairs, okay? So that's 10, 7 plus 8 is 15. So we know that on this side of just the ones, when we're adding, we have 25. So we put the 5 down, carry the 2, okay? Now we have 2, 4, 6. So it's 65 ounces so far, okay? But now what do we have to do? Remember, we have 65 ounces altogether, but we need the average, and in order to get the average, we have to divide by how many different items there were. And there was 16 ounces is weight number 1, then this is weight number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5. So now we have to do 65 divided by 5. So we'll do that here. 65 divided by 5. And 5 goes into 6 one time, and then 1 times 5 is 5, so we subtract 5, bring down the 1, bring down the 5, and 5 goes into 15 3 times. 3 times 5 is 15, that checks out. So the average weight was 13 ounces. Okay, always go back when you're doing your measurements. Make sure you see what are they talking about. What was the average weight? 13 ounces, okay? And we only get that after this is a 2-step problem, so don't forget a step. Add all the weights up, then you divide by how many weights there are total. So there's 5 different weights, 5 different items, okay? That's why we're dividing by 5. Okay, was the average weight more or less than a pound? Okay, so how much is a pound? A pound is 16 ounces. Let Miss Heidi double check that. A pound is how many ounces? Yep, 16 ounces. Okay, so 16 ounces. And you should have this on the back of your book, okay? So you don't have to memorize these, but you should have them on your book. There's a page in your book that has how many ounces equal a pound, all of that. So was the average weight, and this is the average weight, was it more or less than a pound? And we know that 16 is more than 13, so we know it was less than a pound. Less than a pound. Okay, you don't have to put that. You can just put less and just box that in as well. Okay. A basketball player is 7 feet tall. 7 feet tall. How many inches tall is he? Okay, so we know that 1 foot, remember, if you don't know this, you just go to the back, equals 1 foot equals 12 inches. Okay, let's see. Yeah, 12 inches. So 1 foot is 12 inches. And so if he's 7 feet tall, then now we have to multiply to get how many inches. We're going to get him into inches now. Okay, we're converting the feet into inches. And the way to do that is to multiply each foot by 12. So we have 7 feet. We'll do 12 times 7 right over here. And it's going to be 7 times 2, which is 14, carry the 1, and then 7 times 1 is 7, plus 1 is 8. So he is 84 inches tall. Okay? Perfect. Boxed in? Good to go. Look at that. Okay, this is the same thing where we just go ahead and divide and check it by multiplying. Okay, we already did that. So move it along, move it along. And remember, these you can do them. Just because they're upside down doesn't mean you skip them. You just rewrite them and go ahead and multiply, okay? Because this is good practice for you to still work on. Okay. Okay, so Stephanie measured a right triangle. She found that the base, okay, so a right triangle, okay, every time that someone's telling us something, we can always make ourselves a visual so we know what we're talking about. Okay, so Stephanie measured a right triangle. She found that the base was 10 inches and the height was 16 inches. What is the area of a triangle? And we know that the area of a triangle is half of the base times the height. Okay? Area of a right triangle is half the base times the height. Okay? So we can put that in here. So 1/2 of the base, half of 10, we can put is 5. Okay? Half of 10, which is the base, is 5. And then times the height is 16 times 16. So now we can go ahead and work out our problem. Okay? I always like to do it here because I just have a little bit more space. So 16 times 5 equals 5 times 6 is 30. We put our 0, bring over our 3. 5 times 1 is 5, plus the 3 is 80. Okay, so what is the area of the triangle? Area equals 80. 80 what? 80 inches. And we know that when we multiply our sides and we're finding area, it always becomes squared, okay? 80 inches squared, okay? Perfect. Okay. Okay, so Chuck has to drive 2,266 miles. He wants to drive the same distance every day. If he plans 11 days for the trip, how many miles must he drive each day? So that's a division problem, so you guys can do that. We've already done some division problems that are word problems, so that's good to go. Write a letter of the alphabet that has parallel lines. So parallel lines just means they're going exactly the same way. So if you have any, letters that you can think of that have lines like that, any letters that have lines like this, then those would be parallel. So think of those and put those in there, okay? This is the same thing where we are dividing and checking by multiplying, okay? And then this one, let's see. Okay, same thing. Even though it says multiply upside down, you can rewrite it and still multiply, okay? Because it's good for you to get this practice in. So don't just skip these. Actually get your practice in. Okay. Kimberly drew a trapezoid with bases measuring 5 inches, 7 inches, and a height of 12. What is the area of the trapezoid? So when you're doing the trapezoids, you have to find the bases, the average of the bases, and then whatever you get from there, you multiply by your height. So we have our bases are, and I like to make my trapezoids because it just gives a pretty visual so that you kind of know what you're doing. Okay, so I like to have my visual. So I'm going to make a trapezoid. Okay, and then it says the bases are 5, so this is a smaller base, so I'll go ahead and put 5 inches here, and then 7 inches at the bottom. And the height is 12 inches, okay? Okay, so what is the area of the trapezoid? We just do 5 plus 7, okay? Because remember, to find the average, okay, and that's what we need to find the average, you add both of them, and then whatever you get, which is going to be 12, whatever you get, you go ahead and you divide it by 2, okay? And that's going to give us 6. So we know that our average base is 6, okay? Now that we have that, we can go ahead and take our height and multiply it by the average base. So we'll do 12 times 6, and that's going to be 6 times 2 is 12, put the 2 down, carry the 1, 6 times 1 is 6, plus 1 is 7, so 72. And remember, we just multiplied to find the area. So the area is going to be 72 inches squared, okay? And if you write area equals 72 squared inches, some people write it that way too. I don't like it that way. I'd rather have it this way. Okay, I like the little square root at the end. Okay, so that's that one. Okay. Okay, so this one says 20 people want to go on a field trip. If the vehicles hold 8 passengers each, how many vehicles are needed? Okay, so 20 people. Okay, so over here, there's 20 people, and each vehicle can only hold 8. So we're really breaking those 20 people down into groups of 8. And when we're breaking things down into groups, then we know that our answer is going to be smaller because we're breaking it down. And so we know that we're going to have to do division, okay? Because division makes everything, the numbers get smaller when you divide, okay? So 20 people, and the vehicles hold 8 each, okay? So this is where we kind of start trying to think, okay, wait a minute. We know our times tables. These are really small numbers, so we can do 8 times 1 is 8, 8 times 2 is 16, 8 times 3 is 24. Oh, that's too much. So we go back to 8 times 2 is 16. We subtract, and that's going to give us 4, and that's going to be 2 and 4 out of 8. Okay? And then it says, how many vehicles, if the vehicle holds 8 passengers, how many vehicles are needed? So here we could do 2 vehicles, okay? But then only 16 people could come, and we have 20 people. So since we have 4 people that still need a vehicle, we have to round this up and say we need 3 vehicles, okay? Because we're not going to leave anybody behind, okay? So 8 people can go in the first vehicle, 8 more in the second vehicle, and then we need a third vehicle for those 4 extra people, okay? And it says, should your remainder be written as a fraction? I believe it should, because that's what we're learning. So yes, it should. Okay, and you box that in. Okay, and then write a letter of the alphabet that has perpendicular lines. Okay, so perpendicular are lines that cross. Okay, any lines that cross are perpendicular. Okay, so X is obviously one of them. So, and then that is all for chapter 24. I hope it helped. Keep up the good work.